There was a time where my entire world fit inside a hole in the ground. Not metaphorically, a real one. I dug with my own hands under what used to be my bedroom. Outside of that hole was Mogadishu, Somalia, a city without hospitals, without schools, without police stations, flattened houses, smoke rising from every corner. The world knows my city from the movie Black Hawk Down. They called it the most dangerous place on the planet. Foreign journalists have come to the city to tell our story. Some have been kidnapped, some have been killed, and after that, most of these journalists never returned. It was too dangerous. Then the country and the world lost connection. I was there at age 17, hiding in a hole. And in my hand, I held something small, plastic, a recorder. I did not have journalism skills or credentials, and there was no embassy that would issue a statement if I disappeared. But I had a choice: stay silent and survive quietly, or press record and risk everything. So I pressed record. I was not trying to become a journalist. I was just trying to breathe, because when everything else is lost, law, order, safety, the only thing that's left is our story. And if no one records it, it disappears. I was only 5 years old when the Civil War scattered my family. My mother, my brother, my sister, and I became homeless. We slept out on the streets. We slept in abandoned buildings. Sometimes we even slept on the rocks near the beach. Even in that chaos, there was something amazing or useful: language. At nights, I snuck into a movie theater, the only one, that showed bootleg American action movies. And yes, that's how I learned English. Even though I did not understand everything those people in the movie were saying, but I understood one thing. They spoke freely. They criticized leadership. They questioned power. They were telling their story without fear. But to a child growing up where silence kept you alive, that has felt revolutionary. Then things went wrong. Things went worse, actually. A new group took control of the city. They imposed strict rules. Speaking English could get you killed. Music was punishable. Movies, oh, that's too bad. You could get killed for that too. And that one movie theater that I went to was also bombed. Now, I withdrew into that hole, and I started whispering into my device, and I started telling my story. My very first story went like this: tonight could be my last night on earth. And next day, crawling out of that hole, I went to the only functioning internet cafe to smuggle that story to the world, and specifically emailed to an American journalist I had met years earlier. Within the next few days, this was the routine. These stories were not about military strategy. These were human stories. Stories of mothers burying their children, teenagers hiding their music, neighbors divided by fear. These recordings were aired on international radios, People listened, they rallied, they came together, they shared among themselves. Some of them reached out and offered help. That one voice from that hole has crossed oceans. And that's when I realized something powerful. I did not need the power to tell the truth. I needed the courage to press record. Well, eventually, because of people who believe in the power of story, I was able to leave Somalia and come to the United States, the country that I had only known through movies and radio broadcasts, the country where freedom of speech is protected by the law. But here's what I understood since arriving. Freedom of speech is fragile. It does not disappear overnight, but it erodes quietly, sometimes through censorship, sometimes through fear, sometimes through exhaustion. In Somalia and in many other places today, silence is enforced with a gun. But in many places, silence is enforced with something softer. Fear of backlash, fear of isolation, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing status, followers, opportunity, and so on. Today, we live in the digital bubbles. Algorithm decides what we see. Wars are unfolding in real time, from Sudan to the Middle East to Ukraine. Journalists and activists are targeted, kidnapped, and killed. So many of you here, all of us, we're not in a physical danger to speak up. And that makes our responsibility even greater. Because when you have the freedom to speak and you choose not to, then the space for truth begins to shrink. I used to believe that freedom of speech is something governments give citizens. I was wrong. Now I understand that freedom of speech is something citizens, us, must actively use, or it fades. Remember that recorder I held in that hole? It was not powerful because it was technology. It was powerful because I used it. Let's hope you will never live in a war zone. But you know what it feels like to hold back, to hesitate before saying what you believe, to stay silent when something is wrong, to bury a story because it's too risky to tell, right? So many of you are sitting on stories right at this moment. Stories that could heal someone, that could challenge something, that could illuminate something. But you have not pressed record. I want to leave you with this question. What truth are you whispering, maybe every day, but that you haven't recorded? You may not need your voice to survive physically, but someone else might need it. To feel seen, to feel less alone. When I was hiding in that hole, I did not know if anyone would ever hear my story or my voice. But I pressed record anyways because silence could have killed my soul. Now, this is what I know. In every society, darkness waits for silence. It doesn't need everyone to agree. It just needs enough people to stop speaking. In the darkest place on earth, a small voice has reached across ocean, not because that voice was loud, but because that voice has refused to disappear. Freedom of speech is not a slogan. It's a fragile lifeline. Do you have to wait until your world collapses to discover your voice? Or do you have to use it while you still can? Because silence doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives slowly, especially when good people decide not to speak. And that moment that you yourself decide that your voice doesn't matter, that's exactly when it does. So, whatever your story is, however small it feels, however uncertain you are, press record. Thank you.